But yeah, guys, if you see it dropping, you should make the decision that it's time to sell. You don't want to wait. So you're gonna notice that eventually it meets the VWAP once again. So at that point, it's not particularly a good time to buy because the next minute, you're gonna see that the candle actually dropped. You see that? So the next 2 minutes, it continues dropping. So right here, if you are keeping an eye on it, say that you're like, oh my God, I should have sold, right? So you waited, say I don't know, went to get a cup of water and then you came back and now you're here, right? So you're like, oh my God, I missed out, right? So say that it's here. Uh, if you notice that the number right here on the right is about 167, right? So you could have still, made a few dollars. So say that you sell here, right? But you'll notice that the VWAP starts to separate itself from the candles. So the candles are still dropping, right? So for you, if you were keeping an eye on it, you're just keeping an eye on it. You're like, okay, eventually it has to go back up, right? So that's kind of how you think. You have to think about it. It's going to eventually going. It's going to eventually go back up. So you keep an eye on the candle. Eventually, the candle here at 9:55 it bounces back, right? So it's slowly going up once again. So at this point, you essentially get a second opportunity for the day. That's kind of how you think about it. So you see here at 9:57, the candle is probably where the highest is going to be. So you see that it meets the VWAP once again. So the way that I think about the VWAP is that it's like the stable number. So that's when you should sell because it's likely that when it meets the VWAP, the candle is just going to drop, right? So you don't want to sell here because if you try to sell here, whatever listed price you put here for your stocks, and it continues dropping, now the stock all of a sudden is worth this. You see what I mean? So if you're asking this price here, but now it's worth this. So people are not going to want to pay this price. So you have to time it right of when you want to sell. Like, for example, you would want to sell like right here, right? Because people can see that it's about to go up, right? So people are going to try to buy from you at that moment. So that's how stocks work. So you have to, time it right of when you want to buy. So when it drops, when it separates from the VWAP, the moment it separates, the minute, that's when you buy because it's dropping, right? So let's say right here, these minutes, that's when you buy. And then once it starts going up, hits the VWAP, say that you bought here, right? You sell here. So within like 2 minutes, you could have made a profit if you think about it that way. So you invested $10,000. Within 2 minutes, you could have made a profit. So that's how fast, you can make money, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, so I wanted to, show these a little bit. So let me just go ahead and unselect them. See that? This is the you see this, that's this right here. So you actually do want to, I think it's pretty useful to see that because it allows you to see the highest and the lowest, right? So I think it's pretty cool to see that floating. That's the highest and the lowest. I think it's always a good idea to have that. I don't think you should turn it off. You should always have it there because it allows you to see, like I mentioned, the highest and the lowest. Here, it's up to you. How you want to keep it. I like to use the percentage because it helps you to see, how the candle is performing for that exact moment. Because if you put the if you hover the mouse on the candle, if you look at the number on the right, you can see that the number is positive, right? So you know that the candle is gaining value at that moment. So the stock is worth positively at that specific time. But the moment the candle is looking in the negatives, you know that the stock is worth less money. But yeah, so that's how it works. But we're actually not going to use this stock. So I'm actually going to spend some time showing the ones that we are